3. All right, we should be live now. Well, let's kick it off. What do you say? You ready?
I'm ready.
I love it. All right. Well, welcome everybody back to Spirits in the Material World, and I'll get into that real quick with you. Today, as always, we explore the stories of soul and spirit behind the people shaping culture from the heart of the Delta and beyond. So today's guest is Memphis royalty. Literally, he is Grammy-winning producer, engineer, and keeper of one of the most sacred creative spaces on earth, and that's Royal Studios. He's smiling, so I'm doing good so far, I think. If you've ever grooved to Uptown Funk, felt the soul of Al Green, or caught the unmistakable Memphis warmth in a record, you felt his fingerprints. He's the son of legendary Willie Mitchell, and the man carrying the torch forward with authenticity, humility, and a deep reverence for the craft. We're going to talk about legacy. We're going to talk about lightning and how the past and future soul music live under one roof. We'll explore the spirit of creativity, leadership, and what really means to make something real in the digital world. Lawrence Boo Mitchell, welcome to Spirits in the Material World. How'd I do on that?
Man, that was awesome.
I'll send you a copy. We'll put that on your website.
Right, yeah. All right.
Well, Boo, it's an honor. For those of you listening, we are at Royal Studios in the world famous Memphis, Tennessee, and Boo, you live here, you work here, your whole life with your father and everything. But for somebody like myself and others listening to be in here, it's a little surreal. Like, it'll probably hit me when I'm driving home, like, whoa. I mean, just to walk in here, the floorboards, everything I feel like we went back decades.
Yeah, it's looked this way since the late 60s, since Pac kind of redesigned the room to make it sound the way it sounds, and we haven't touched it.
So it's pretty authentic.
It's a time capsule, yeah.
Now, it was a theater back in the day, right?
Yeah, it was the Shamrock Theater from like 1915 to 1939, and it may have been the second theater in Memphis. And then I think in 1939, another company bought it and changed it to the Royal Theater. So the moniker outside, like in stone, it says Royal. That's been here since 1939.
Oh, okay. All right. That's pretty cool. You live around here?
Man, I live in Midtown.
Okay.
So probably, like at most 10 minutes away.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, no traffic around here. So that's pretty nice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, so I'm going to try to hit some big things. What I would really love for people that are going to listen is to really have an appreciation of you and your background. You just didn't wake up one day and become this amazing Grammy Award winner. It's like everything, right? When you hear a record or a song, there's a lot of stuff that goes behind that.
Oh, yeah. They got the 10,000 hour rule. Mine felt like probably 100,000 hours. Better late than never.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how about a little bit about, growing up? Where'd you grow up? When did you start feeling the vibe of what your dad was doing? And
I grew up in a house, and we were always surrounded by music. We had instruments, and we had instruments and records, and I didn't really understand that my childhood was much different from anybody else's until I got older. You know what I mean? Because it was like, oh man, I love music, and oh, that's the Doobie Brothers at the house. I love their records, or that's the Temptations, or you know what I mean? So I was just kind of surrounded by music and artists, and when you're a kid, these things, it seems normal.
You don't know any different.
Right. And I'm trying to think, when did it actually dawn upon me? So anyway, I grew up, like I said, we had, reel-to-reel tape recorders at the house, like 1974, 75. The kids, we had a reel-to-reel in our room.
Oh, did you really? Oh, wow. Okay.
And, so I didn't really I started coming to the studio. I was probably like 6 or 7, and I knew it just looked magical and felt magical.
And you're referring to this studio that we're sitting in. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it was always cool to come down here. And then my dad was such an enigma and, figure, and that, I just wanted to be like him, ever since I can remember. He was just, one of those powerful spirit individuals that everybody looked up to him, not just me, but especially me.
Right.
And I think it was when, around 77, I think Star Wars came out, and I'm in the movie theater and they're on like the Millennium Falcon, and I'm like, holy crap, that looks like where Pop works. The R2-D2 in the corner looked like the tape machine, and just, the board looked like the control, the
Death Star
room. Yeah, it looks like the cockpit of a spaceship.
Right.
And it wasn't long after that where, I decided that I wanted to do whatever my dad was, that's what I wanted to be, and started playing piano about 9 or 10. And by the time, I think it was around 1980, so I would have been about 9 years old when I started coming down here, weekends, and during the summer, I would just I wanted to go to work with Pop every day. I'm like, it's summertime, I can go to work with him.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So that was and I just watched him produce records and ran around in the studios. It's the coolest place in the world for a 9-year-old. I'm so glad it survived my childhood, because I used to walk across those beams.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah. It's like monkey bars. But yeah, man, it bit me. And the older I got, the more I wanted to be here. And then the older I got, the more access I had to.
Right.
Because, by the time I was a teenager, I could get around on my own. And yeah, so I started writing. I think I wrote my first song when I was about 14. And then I wrote, another song when I was 16 is when I really started to write words. And then hip hop was coming. I don't know. One day I woke up and I was like, oh, I can rap. And that was like another whole career path for me.
So you went from playing the piano to rapping. Is that M-Town?
M-Team, yeah.
Or M-Team, okay, yeah. M-Team.
Yeah, and that, got pretty serious, because there wasn't any rap groups in Memphis. You had Ray the J and Spanish Fly that, were probably and possibly the first rappers in Memphis. And then the M-Team was like the first group. So yeah, when I started rapping, it was me and Gangsta Pat, who is Willie Hall's son. Willie Hall is Isaac Hayes' drummer. He's playing drums on Shaft and Do Your Thing. Just all of Isaac Hayes' albums, Willie Hall is playing. So Willie's son, Pat, was rapping. I was rapping.
Oh, interesting.
And then eventually came, 8 Ball and MJG and U36 Mafias and all those cats. That was a few years after we started.
Oh, wow.
We both started. It was, I started rapping in 87, and Memphis didn't really, I don't think we really got a proper rap scene until about 90. Yeah, like 90, 91 is when we started to get a voice as a city.
Okay. That's interesting. I think like a lot of people, music is a great way to remember where you were at that time.
Absolutely. It's the best. It's the best way.
It's amazing, right? And when you start talking about rapping in the 80s, early, I think I'm probably 3 or 4 years older than you. So we're not that far apart. And I remember the first time my mom bought me a vinyl album, not the first vinyl album, but it was Sugar Hill Gang.
Oh, yeah, man.
And I was like,
I had that. I was jamming that.
Wore that out.
When I was in the 4th and 5th grade. What year? That would have been like 82 or something.
It's right about it. Right about that. And it was like, it felt like at my age at that point, we went from listening and wearing out Chicago 4 to Led Zeppelin 4, and then all of a sudden, somehow we're over here at Sugar
Gap
Hill.
Band 4.
What's that?
I said in the Gap Band.
In the Gap Band 4. Right. It's all these 4s, like, and then boom, Sugar Hill Gang. And it's, whoa, this is different.
Wow. Yeah, that was my playlist, man. When I used to come home from school, like I said, music was everywhere. So my ritual dropped the bag straight to the record player.
Yeah.
And I had Queen on 8-track.
Okay.
When whatever that album with Another One Bites the Dust.
Okay.
So the playlist was Queen, Sugar Hill Gang, Gap Band, AC/DC, Back in Black.
Okay. We were in the same house.
Yeah.
I mean,
at that time. And then, years before in like 80, it was Stevie Wonder, Toto. Like, everybody loves Africa, but Hold the Line for me.
That was it.
It's the one. Anyway,
wow.
Sorry,
God, we could sit here. This. We talk about that for.
I know. I just went back to my den.
Now I'm all caught up in my cord. Yeah, that was good. Soul Train on TV.
Soul Train and Hee Haw, dude. It was like we watched Hee Haw at 6 and Soul Train at 11. It was that was Saturday night was Hee Haw, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, whatever the news. Then Soul Train.
Yeah.
that was it.
Man, we were in the same house. That's pretty cool. So did go back to like what you were saying, I mean, maybe 9 years old or whatever, and it kind of, maybe you were starting to like, at 9, I don't know. I don't think I had a thought in my head about what I wanted to do. But did your friends at school, when did they start to notice something? Like, hey, you're like...
It's so funny because I never really talked about I would have apparently these elaborate birthday parties. Looking back, my favorite restaurant was the Four Flames, which is like Folks Folly, and because they had an amazing hamburger because it was probably
prime
USD grade or whatever. But I would have birthday parties at places like that. A bunch of second graders rolling up in the Folks Folly. And my friends would come over to the house and they would talk about, man, you guys got drum set and all this stuff. But I never really talked about, even in high school when Keith Richards was working here, I never went back to school. It's like, man, we're recording Keith Richards because, I just didn't. But they, my friends, they knew something from coming to the house and seeing,
It just was not normal.
Yeah.
In some aspect of it. Yeah. You had all the albums.
I had, and it was gold record. I didn't really, I think I was probably 21 or in my early 20s before I just had to come to Jesus with myself. It's like, look, your childhood was not normal. Like
right.
all these things that, I had a reflection, and I was like, man, I'm really fortunate and blessed to have this child. Like none of those things were normal. You know what I mean? And
were you a good student?
Oh, hell no. I hated school. I hated school. Man, I was so happy to graduate. Well, I went to Christian Brothers, which was a great high school, and it really helped me. I think it helped me become the person that I am, because it was a private school. And of course, we had, the richest of the rich. We had like Ferraris and Benzes in the parking lot, but we also had hoopties. And it's like we had the richest of the rich, the poorest of the poor. We had kids that were refugees,
very diverse,
from Lebanon and Kuwait, and just all these. We had all these different walks of life, and it just like nobody, and because there weren't girls there, nobody really cared about who was rich or who was poor or who was, Vietnamese or who was whatever. It was just like the code of ethics were like, you were either cool or you weren't, you know what I mean? And, I was a good student in math because you either knew that or you didn't. And
that was the one you knew.
I made straight A's in math because I didn't have to do homework. But, the academic, I just wanted to be, man, I think ever since I was a kid, I just wanted to be grown and able to, really get to the studio.
Right. Can we just skip the school part?
Can I just get to Royal? So, I had my high school experience was great, but I didn't like the academics
of it.
I didn't like the academics of it. And, when I got to college, it was, college was so easy. But it was just like, I had an opportunity to go to Berkeley, and, I was working on my rap album. I was like going to New York to shoot a music video. And I think it was my second year in college, and we didn't have the opportunities, I guess, back in those times that kids have today. Like there was no music production classes. There was no music business classes in, 1989. And I was just in school one day, and I'm like, man, I'm just wasting my dad's money because
I'm not going to do
this. I'm like, what am I major? I'm like, I want to be making records. Like,
right.
And I told my dad, I was like, man, I think I'm just wasting your money.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I was like, I just want to be at the studio. And
it was a good fallback to have a degree, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just chose, I followed my heart, and it wasn't easy, but had some success with the rap career, and was really hard and heavy on that. And then my mom and my aunt opened a club on Beale Street.
Okay.
And that was kind of at the plateau of my rapping career. And then it was like, the family needs you to come, clean this grease out of this old building on Beale Street and get this club ready to go. And so I went and did that. And because that's where I was needed. It was like, oh, we got a club on Beale Street. And it was, we had to clean it because it was dirty. Because it had been abandoned. That building had been empty for 4 or 5 years. So we had to like clean it, remodel it, and, do all the stuff. And it's like, that's where I, so I went from studio to the club, from
mopping floors,
bussing tables, learning a POS system, to waiting tables to bartending.
Okay. So you did it all.
To managing. Yeah. I mean, I put the sound system in. I didn't know anything about live sound. I just went and bought all our equipment from like pawn shops and stuff. I was like, we need some subs. We need some tops. So and it amazingly sounded really good. But that's why I learned live sound. The first time I had to run sound, it was so bad. It was feeding back. I mean, I was just doing everything wrong, putting everything in the main speakers, and I like didn't know you didn't do that. So, I figured it out, and the club started to get popular. We would have famous people show up there like Michael McDonald and Jamie Foxx and Bob Dylan's boy, the Wallflowers, that son. But it was, and then it was like a whole nother life. And
did you like it?
Oh, I loved it, man. I was like 25 with a club on Beale Street.
I mean,
yeah,
you could get in some trouble.
Oh yeah, it was some times, man. It was really good times, and we were on the far end of Beale Street. We were right next to the New Daisy, and so the tourists would generally stop right there at Alfred's, whatever street that is. I guess it's 3rd Street. But our club had like regulars, so we ended up with like, it was such a good mix of people, of like doctors, lawyers, judges, b-boys, guys with jeans and guys with 3-piece suits.
Right. And
it was all mostly local. And every now and then a tourist would come down there, and their mind, they would be like, holy shit, So
how often would you have live music?
Just about every weekend, probably 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your responsibility?
Oh yeah. And then I became manager. It was kind of like a team effort on the entertainment between me, my mom, and my aunt. Yeah. And there's a lot of well-known musicians that came out of playing at our club, like Preston Shannon and Little Jimmy King.
That's so cool.
Al Green performed there. Johnny Taylor performed there. Bobby Rush, Willie Clayton. It was just,
very cool. 25, and you're running around
25 with a club. Like, come on, man! I thought that was it.
Who was the coolest to you back then? Like,
man, we had so many cool people. The Temptations would come.
Oh, wow.
And their lead singer, Ollie Woodson, at the time, man, I didn't know this dude was really a drummer before he started singing, and he went on a drum kit and just embarrassed my drummer one night. I was like, holy crap, this dude.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, man. He went up there, and when he got on the drums, it sounded like another band. It sounded like the energy just went up 5 notches. But that's what a good drummer.
You just know.
Oh man, it was like, what the hell? And he's like, man, he would come and just show out. He'd play the drums, he'd sing. Yeah, we had Sinbad came there. Like,
Sinbad, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Oh my God. Jamie Foxx.
Oh wow.
Jumped on stage one night. It was a magical place.
What was the name?
Willie Mitchell's on Beale Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. How was the food?
Oh man, the food. My aunt is a master cook, so the food was good. Yeah, the food was off the chain.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long was that? How long did you do?
Club lasted 5 years, and I think we sold it in 98. Yeah, 98. So from 93 to 98. That's what I was doing. And then I would moonlight at the studio. I'd come here 4 a.m. and write songs or something, but I wasn't doing any recording. And because I was at the club, I missed a couple of iconic records that were made here. Like Tom Jones came and recorded an album.
Really?
I missed the whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Boz Skaggs. I got my Boz do-over though. I got to record one of his last albums that is with Steve Jordan and a bunch of amazing people.
I love Boz Skaggs.
So good.
We just sold my wife's BMW, and I almost forgot I had the only CD. It was a single CD deck, and the only CD I had in there, and I almost forgot to get it out, was his blues album.
Oh yeah.
And I got that out. Wow. I could listen to that on rerun. It's just so
good.
I always people say, yeah, Lito and all that. I say, yeah, Lito's a good song, but he's a blues guy.
Man. Well, he had an R&B hit,
and
Low Down.
Yeah.
Which stayed on Memphis R&B radio. So there's like a huge population of older black people that think that Boz is either black or a band. And when we were making the record with him in 2013, I think we had a big, we had like a table of 14 at the Rendezvous or something. And I don't know how me and Boz ended up being the ones to go, to check in. And we got a reservation for Boz Skaggs for 14. And the old guy behind the counter, he goes, "Like in the group, Boz Skaggs?" and Boz looks at me and goes, "Yeah, like in the group."
Yeah. We'll go with that. I could see that. I could see that, man.
So hilarious. But yeah. So
you mentioned when you were younger, Keith Richards.
Oh yeah, man.
I just finished reading his book.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's one of those books that takes a while, but I love the Stones. I love a lot of the early stuff. And when you read about what he's done, how he's alive,
it's miraculous
in itself, right? But his drop down tuning and the things that he's done, that's pretty cool to have him as part of the sort of the history of what you guys have done here. So for those of you wanting to get sort of caught up to speed, we've already talked about, we kind of talked about Al Green, and that started with your father, right?
Oh yeah.
And Let's Stay Together, I think, is a song that everybody probably gravitates towards. Take Me to the Rivers, I think, my favorite. Although I didn't even know it, but I probably first was introduced to Take Me to the River by the Talking Heads.
Right.
I don't even know, but Rod Stewart, you mentioned John Mayer. What Gravity? I mean, what an album that was.
That was.
I mean, such a soulful dude, right?
That dude, yeah. He is definitely one of the greatest guitar players of our generation. And it wasn't until I recorded him that I really started to respect him more as a singer as well. When I recorded him, I was like, holy crap, this dude can sing his face off, So that was a great experience.
Weren't expecting it.
I wasn't expecting it. And I always liked his records, but I just never, I never thought of him as, that guy can sing.
Singer.
Yeah.
I think most people probably think of him as a guitar player.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So, sold the restaurant. The club, if you will.
Yes. Started
98, 99-ish, whatever.
Started working back here around 2000 as manager, because I had learned all my business and running the business stuff from the club.
Did your dad ever have a moment with you like, all right, son, this is how it's going to go? You're going to sweep the floors here and work your way up tight. Well, did that ever one of those things?
No, he was always, if you had interest in something, he would enhance it, When we got rid of the club and I came, the studio never had it never really had a manager. It was just my dad, doing stuff, and had engineers and stuff. But my dad was still renting a phone from AT&T. I started looking at bills. I'm like, Pop, I'm going to Target. I'm going to buy a phone. We're paying AT&T $20 a month for a phone. He was like, really? I'm like, yeah, man. And, studio never had a logo. So I made a logo, we had these timesheets, but we really didn't have an invoicing system. So I did all the stuff in
operations.
Yeah. And man, found out he had all these checks under his carpet that people had been sticking under his door, but they've been going under the carpet. So I found a few $1,000s worth of checks when I started. Yeah. It was
So we need to get organized here.
Yeah. And then my dad, Pop had diabetes, so he had some health things. So I started, picking him up and taking him to work and then taking him home at night. And it was around the time that Willie Mitchell's Greatest Hits album came out, which was, the first one came out was like maybe 15 of his instrumentals from different records, like the stuff that he did before he discovered Al Green and Peebles and all these people. And we would listen to that on the way home. And that stuff just, I knew I had his records and listened to just cherry pick songs. And then some of these records I'd never heard before. And it was just blowing my mind. And it really gave me a greater reverence to him as a producer and, digging into that stuff, realizing that, oh, this man created the Memphis soul sound. Like there was nobody doing it before. Right. He was the start of it. Like there would be no Royal High Records, no Stax Records, no American, none of these things, or they would be very different if it wasn't for Willie Mitchell,
right?
And his sound. And
so he had, like an artist, right? He had a vision of what he wanted to hear and what he thought.
Oh yeah, he had 10 albums before. Like he made the very first soul Memphis sound records in starting in 58. Even his first vocalist, Don Bryant, was inspiration to people like Maurice White and David Porter and the other soul singers, because nobody was singing like that and nobody was playing music like that. And Pop's, he just recorded it the first time in 58 when this place opened, but he created it in 53, and that sound was permeating the streets of Memphis and, in the mid 50s. And he had the most famous band in town. He played all of Elvis's parties. He played Beale Street. He played everywhere.
Wow.
So much that it was a rite of passage for musicians. He mentored all these people. There were people like Phineas Newborn that played in his band. And he let Booker T sit in when Booker was probably still in high school.
Wow.
All these people were trying to, the Marquis were going to be a bluegrass. They were a bluegrass band. They used to sneak in when Pop was playing clubs in Arkansas. They would sneak in Danny's and the Plantation Inn as teenagers and see the Willie Mitchell combo, and came and told their parents, we don't want to play these fiddles. We want to play horns like Willie Mitchell.
Yeah.
And that's how the Marquis started. So his sound, because everything in black music in the 40s and early 50s was all either blues, boogie woogie, jazz, big band. That's what it was. There was no like Memphis thing. Everything was, Count Basie and his orchestra, Tough Green, or all these kind of people. And Pop was the first one to like strip it down to just 2 or 3 horns and small rhythm, tight rhythm section, and the horns became the prominent thing. That's why Memphis is known for our horn sound, because Willie Mitchell started that.
Oh, man, that is amazing. And you recognize that back and forth with him going to work.
Oh, man. Yeah, starting to dig in the music would spark memories, like you said.
Yeah.
So he'd start talking about, oh, man, I remember this was going on. And, we'd be driving by. It was like, it used to be a club right there. And, it was just, I got this, it's like I had been sleeping on my dad. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And I got this deeper reverence and appreciation for him, and then I was like, okay, this man is a musical genius. Like, where's everybody? Like, why ain't the phone ringing, And, the first, around the same time, the phone rang, and it was a Scottish singer named Marty Pellow who Pop had produced. Marty was in a band called the Wet 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 Band, and Pop cut their first record in like 86, I think. And I used to hang out with those guys. They were, I was like 15 and they were like 20. So, it was me and my brother's job to pick them up from the hotel and get them to the studio and back and forth. So we ended up becoming really good friends. But the Wets were they became one of the biggest boy bands in England. The most notable thing, I think, for Americans is the 4 Weddings and a Funeral soundtrack. They did the songs on that. But anyway, this is flash forward year 2000. The lead singer has left the band, Marty Pellow, and calls. He's like, hey man, I'm working on a solo record. I want Pop to produce it. And it's like, let's go. And he was coming for a 2-week session, and he ended up blocking the studio out for like 3 months.
Really?
Yeah.
And what was the reason for that?
He just
he just kept going, or kept collaboration?
He just fell in love with working with Pop and just the vibe of the studio, the vibe of the city,
right?
And he ended up recording like over 20 songs.
Wow.
And I mean, the president of Mercury Records came over.
Just want to know where all these checks I'm writing.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, man. Like, he, cut this amazing record, which I think it went gold in the UK. It's one of those records on the wall in there. And it was just that, me and Marty got to reconnect because we were both kids when, and he just became, part of the family. And
how cool is
he
that?
was the first one to, to re-engage Willie Mitchell. And it was at the time I was just like mad at the music world. I was like, why is nobody calling my dad? Like, this dude's like started everything. The phone should be ringing. And then he ended up doing a couple of Al Green albums after that, some Grammy nominated stuff. And but that was just around the time that my relationship with my dad got just super tight, because, we spent all this time together, and I just had this different level of, respect and admiration for him as producer and as the architect of the Memphis soul sound.
Well, and that's a lifetime, once in a lifetime.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What So what is a producer? Let me start over, because I think this is really, for most people, we hear songs, unless you really study it and learn it and get into it. You hear songs, yeah, it's a cool song. Who is that? Oh, that's okay. And then you move on or whatever. But there's so much that goes into that. And I think it'd be really cool to hear from you, like whether it was the first time it dawned on you when you realized what your dad did, but somebody knocks on the door and says, I wrote down these lyrics, and it, and it has an acoustic guitar and says it kind of goes like this. And then what?
As a producer, the producer's the one that can listen to the song in its lowest terms, like acoustic guitar and vocal, and be able to hear the potential in the song. You know what I mean? It's like being able to see or hear the finished product or something close to it. And that's what I draw my inspiration. Like, I'll hear a song and I'm like, oh yeah, it needs this, that I would do,
So you see all the colors versus just maybe with the gray and the white.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Do you sometimes now think about, well, Pops would be really proud of me for this one?
Man.
Do you have those moments?
I have those moments where I think he would, I'm like, oh, I think he would like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, it's like when Uptown Funk was for Grammy, I have a couple of rings that my dad gave to me like years ago, when he was alive, and he was like, man, I'm not gonna wear this, and he gave it to me, and I'm like, I never wore it. I'm like, but when the night of the Grammys, I was like, okay, I don't know if it was where I was feeling that I was finally worthy to wear his jewelry, or there's some of that, and then also some of, I want him like feeling like he's a part of it.
Right, he's there with you.
Yeah, and
wow.
It's the first time I've worn his jewelry, and and then I've been wearing it ever since. I felt a little more comfortable
doing that. I'm not taking this off.
Yeah, exactly.
I talk about that a little bit. This is, you might laugh, maybe you won't. The first time I ever knew who Mark Ronson was, I think I heard he's some DJ in England. And then next thing I know, I see him, he's producing an album for one of my favorite bands, which is Duran Duran. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. He's a DJ? So then I did a little bit digging there, and then I connected him more, producer thing he did. Amy Winehouse came through. I started digging in a little bit. And I think most people still probably in America don't know who he is, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because the Uptown Funk was...
that
was his album,
record.
Uptown
Special.
Okay. So tell a little bit about Mark Ronson. Did you get to know him?
Oh, yeah, man. So when he was working on Uptown Special, he was starting to work on this record, and his producer buddy, Jeff Basker, who is another huge super producer that produced all the Fun records, the group.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight We Are Young. Like, Jeff wrote and produced all of that stuff. Did a bunch of Kanye West stuff. He's done a bunch of records like Mark has.
That's cool.
Oh. Oh, my headphones on. Hang on.
We got some official Royal Studios music in the background. Very cool. Engineer, some fine tuning happening right now.
Yes, happening in the control room. But anyway, Jeff had the idea, and Jeff and Mark, for context, they both had produced Bruno Mars's "Locked Out of Heaven."
Oh, okay.
Which is ironically the second song that I bought from iTunes. Ironically. So anyway, Jeff is a bit extrovert. Mark is a bit introvert. And Jeff was like, hey man, let's rent a car in the Delta and drive from New Orleans to Chicago and find the next soul singer.
Whoa.
So they were stopping at everywhere along the map. And they actually found a young lady in Jackson, Mississippi.
I was going to say Clarksdale.
But Jackson, that's why lyric is in Uptown Funk.
Oh,
because Keywan Star. Yeah, she's from Jackson. But anyway, they came to Memphis and they went to every studio and auditioning singers. And somebody called me, this lady that used to work at Clear Channel. She was like, these guys are coming to town. They want to audition singers for an album. I'm like, okay. And I didn't really catch I was like driving and didn't really catch the names. And I didn't know what they were looking for. So I called like lady that sings gospel, a dude that's a soul R&B singer, and another guy that's kind of like a pop rock guy. And when they came in, I'm like, wait, that looks like the Amy Winehouse dude.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah. And because Mark is he's always dressed very sharp. You know what I mean? And he's just very distinguished.
Right. He's always got a blazer on.
Yeah. And then Jeff is like in tennis shoes. So it's such a starskin hutch. But anyway, they were freaked out, Mark especially, over the artifacts at Royal, like the Hammond from the Al Green records, the drums, the Ann Peebles I Can't Stand the Rain device. Like, and when he walked in the control room, he looked at the recording desk and he goes, oh man, I have that same desk because I bought it because I read your dad had one. And I was like, that's cool. And
so he knew who you were.
Yeah. And he never, this is his first time walking in and he just fell in love with the place. And on the way out, he was like, man, I think I want to make my album here. And
wow.
I was like, okay.
So I'm not the only one that just is starstruck when they walk in here.
So he comes back. He comes back 2 weeks later. Like literally 2 weeks later. And he comes back and he has with him, he's got Trombone Shorty in his horn section. He's got Kevin Parker, who is basically Tame Impala. He's got Lana Del Rey's producer, the guy that did Summertime Sadness, Emil Heine. He's got the current drummer of the Rolling Stones and John Mayer's producer, Steve Jordan. He's got
the All-Star Band,
Donny Hathaway's bass player in most R&B records from the 70s and 80s. Willie Weeks played on like every David Bowie record except for Fame. Who else has he got with him? Oh, yeah. 2 of the Dap Kings and a Pulitzer Prize-winning author by the name of Michael Chabon that writes all the new Star Trek episodes for the past 20 years. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on?
Where's everybody going
to sit? I'm calling people. I'm like, dude, man, it feels like there are no records being made anywhere else in the world because
they're all here.
And anyway.
So when he says, I want to make my record here, and he shows up with
those
everybody in the world that makes records, did he have something in mind? Or is this just, he had a vibe here and he loved it and he's going to make something up?
Yeah, well, there was stuff that they wrote. They definitely, a lot of Uptown Funk was actually written here and recorded. So it's like he would have, song ideas and stuff. And Michael Chabon, the author, was writing lyrics. And, the band would, I think he had some songs in mind that weren't recorded. And we just, sometimes when people go to the studio, they have, a demo or something of all the songs they want to do. Sometimes they write in the studio, and this was a little bit of both of those things. Or they may have just a song idea and they flesh it out in the studio. But it was crazy. Oh yeah, I forgot. He also had Brody Brown, who is one of the co-writers of Catch a Grenade, and Brody was the bass player in Snoop Dogg's Snoopadelic band. But Brody was like a 22-year-old millionaire from Compton. Wrote some Bruno hits. And
there you go. It's as simple as that?
As simple as that. But anyway, it was during that 11-day session that one of those days, Mark casually says to me, "Hey man, I got this record I want Bruno to come and do." And I was like, okay, inside I'm going, holy Bruno Mars. Outside I'm like, okay. And he plays me like the demo it's like an unfinished demo of Uptown Funk. And I was like, damn, that sounds like that's going to be a cool ass record. And couple of months, so March, April, May, so 2 months later, he comes in with Bruno and another cast of characters. It's like Bruno, Mystical, Carlos Alomar, who's David Bowie's guitar player.
Oh, wow.
Who's playing all that stuff on Uptown Funk.
Yeah, that's him.
Carlos Alomar. Yeah.
I always thought it was... So when I think of like funk, I think of the Chic, the band Chic, Bernard.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. Nile Rodgers. So that's not, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. That's
something else.
Crazy. And
so right here.
All right here. Yeah. And they wrote, we got the music, we got the song, because they were like structuring the song in the studio. And
they were.
Yeah. And Bruno was like on the drums, like, oh no, I think we should, go here. It was like they put the whole thing together, like where the breakdowns were going to come, where the, how many verses. They did all of that. We recorded it, and then they wrote the lyrics to fit the format of what they had laid out.
Oh.
So they wrote, half of those lyrics were written in that hallway.
Really?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people often wonder what comes first.
It doesn't. There's no
rhyme or reason.
It's unquantifiable, because sometimes, sometimes the man upstairs just gives you everything all at once, and then sometimes you might get the music first and then the words come, or sometimes you might get the words first and then the music comes. Like, it's
for some reason I always thought that and this might just be because some of the bands that I followed, like the Rolling Stones, right? Keith would lay down something. How he remembered it, I have no idea, the next day, but he would lay down something, and then he would get Bill Wyman and they'd get in the studio, I guess. I'm just telling you what I read. And then when they thought they were ready, they would ask Mick, they would tell Mick, we're ready. And Mick would come in and lay down the lyrics. So I just thought that's how it always happened.
No, that's their method. But there's,
There's all sorts of ways to get to it.
All sorts of ways.
That's amazing. If these walls had spirits in them, what would the Memphis spirit be today? Has it changed?
No, I think the spirits are still here. Ovi Wright, Willie Mitchell, Joe Coogie, like all these. I think that energy is still here. I think it's part of the magic that you feel when you walk in here is the ones that the predecessors, the people that came before us and laid the foundation. I think that, and you can definitely feel the energy in here, and I think it's part of the magic.
The lore,
it's the spirit of Memphis, and its authenticity. I think is the main. I think that's the main vibe, is originality and authenticity, and not trying to dance to anybody else's, to the beat of anybody else's drum,
right?
Or trying to fit into a box. And I think that I think that's just Memphis as a whole. I think that's what makes us a unique city, is that we don't really care what the Jones are doing, nor are we going to try to keep up with them. But we're going to do our own thing.
Going to lay our
what we feel and what we're inspired to do. I think that's what makes us who we are, is Memphians.
That's beautiful, but well said. I can't tell you how many times I hear stories from other artists that either in their songs. I mean, Memphis is in got to be more songs than any others.
Oh yeah, by a landslide. It's like over 3,000 songs, and then Drake keeps putting out albums repping Memphis.
And the influence that it's had on people that have come through here, it's just amazing. Did you ever feel, or do you feel like it's some way a responsibility you have of keeping it going?
Oh, totally. Now I do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have a strong. Yeah, man. I have a strong sense of responsibility just to the city and the people of it, the history of it. I've made I make a concentrated effort. When Uptown Funk won the Grammy, I didn't want to do because sometimes people get a hint of success and then you don't see them. You know what I mean? They disappear and it become very mysterious, and made up in my mind that I was not going to be that guy. So I still go out, listen to bands. You know what I mean? Just, because people...
You're still connected to the community.
Yeah, and, people need... if my presence can inspire somebody or whatever, or just show people that I'm just a regular dude like they are, like if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's so, yeah, I'm always accessible from inapproachable for Memphis. So
are you connected with the younger artists? Is that just part of what you do?
It's part of what I do, and it's really, when I think about it, it's what my dad did.
Okay.
That's exactly what he did.
That's what he did. Okay.
And I didn't even realize I was doing what he did till I started just, looking back on this. I'm like, shit, he was mentoring and, and keeping this pulse on the young journey. So Pop was in Al Jackson Sr.'s band. Al Jackson Sr. in 1949 had a big band, and his son, Al Jackson Jr., was probably 15 or 16, tagging along, beating on boxes and stuff. And my dad was always going, hey, man, why don't you let Junior play? Senior never would. And I think one night the drummer didn't show for the gig, and Pop said Lil Al got to play the drums and was swinging the band like a pro. So when Pop got back from the Korean War, I think 1953, the first person he got to be in his band was Al Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
And now everybody knows Al from Booker T and the MGs and Otis Redding and all these things. But 10 years before Booker T and the MGs, he was in Willie Mitchell's band.
Wow.
And that was Pop's drummer up until about 66, 67.
Wow. I'm going to sound like what my kids are. I have twin boys, are 31. So when they're at the point now, like, or maybe I'm at the point where if I say something, they'll say, "Dad, you sound old." I guess we're at that point.
Right.
But I'll say, for the last 15 or so years, I said, man, I'm really struggling with artists these days. I don't feel the music is like it was when I was growing up. So that's not true. And that's part of just, I think generational as you grow up through the 80s and 90s. How do you look at today's landscape of music? How do you feel about what's happening today? There's the whole digital thing, auto-tune. Man, it's been around for a while. How do you feel about it?
I don't know, man. I love it. It's incredible, the creativity. Kids are still pushing the envelope. I could be a purist,
right,
and be like, if it's not live instruments, it's not real music. I don't believe in that. I believe, we have the tools and technology to create something in your bedroom on your iPhone. You know what I mean? It's not what I do, but I definitely
appreciate
it and respect it.
You can see the creativity in it.
Yeah. I was rapping in 87 when they were like, "Oh, rap is a fad. It's not going to be here."
Right.
And now it's, it's the biggest selling music genre on the planet. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so influential that it's seeped over in the country where
it really has.
It's like, I listen to country radio and I'm like, man, I swear DJ Mustard made that. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So,
Post Malone.
It's influenced, not just the music, but the whole culture. You got Swedish girls with cornrows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a fad. So, I'm never going to be one of those people that shun what the youth is doing. I mean, there's so much stuff there, dude. There's a whole genre of music in Germany called funk, F-O-N-K, that is completely inspired by OG Memphis rap. And not just the famous artists like 3 6 and 8 Ball, but people like Skinny Pimp and Tommy Wright III. There's a whole alternate genre of music that's like huge in Germany. It's like they're taking OG Memphis rap and like making it with, like 8-bit digital, like Game Boy sounds. And it's
really,
dude, it's huge.
Like Kraftwerk kind of stuff.
It's a genre. It's like
it's just new.
It's a whole genre called F-O-N-K.
Okay, funk. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
It's yeah.
Wow. All right. So one of the things I was wondering about is that, being an artist, you played piano, produced, and all that. What's it like from a leadership standpoint, having the responsibility of Rose Studios?
Oh man, it's
because that's different side of the brain, right?
Yeah, it's so I have two legacies to reverence, uphold, and perpetuate, and that's Willie Mitchell's legacy and the legacy of Rural Studios, which sometimes they intertwine and sometimes they branch off into different paths. Luckily I have a real strong support system. My sister helps me. She owns the studio with me and, helps in areas that I don't, really excel in. Like,
good balance.
Yeah. Like I can do the music, but she can do everything else. And yeah, it's a great responsibility. We finally got the place on the state historical register.
I saw that.
I think that was in 2012 or 13. We're now working on getting it on the national registry. But it's always, I think we've done a lot, but I think we still have a lot to do.
Right.
Just so people, and it's not just about advertising a studio, but just so people know their history and know where the music comes from and the players, the people, the places.
Right. Right.
I think it's important.
What's the future then?
Oh man.
When you're off to the sunset, Mai Tais and the beach.
Oh man.
What's the future?
Maybe one day. I don't think I'll ever retire. That's just an unpossibility. Man, we got getting the word out more about Willie Mitchell and Royal. We've got a Willie Mitchell documentary in the works.
Okay.
And we'll be looking to do some things like that for Royal, and like I said, getting on the national registry. Still, continue to push the envelope and get more artists from more genres. That was a thing that me and my sister were focused on. When Pop passed away in 2010, we were like, okay, Royal is really known for Al Green and Ann Peebles and Otis Clay and Seal Johnson and Ovie Wright, High Records, Tina Turner for soul music,
Right.
And historically, all kinds of records were made here. The Gentrys made records here. Rod Stewart's first solo record, Charlie Rich. And I was like, I want us to not just be known, for being the birthplace of Memphis soul, but we want to be universal, where you can come and make any kind of record here and it'll be special. And so we've hit some of those goals. We made a Wu-Tang Clan album here. I did country singer Brandy Clark.
Oh, really?
That album was nominated for a Grammy, didn't win. We've been doing all these amazing blues records, like the Cedric Burnside's Grammy Award-winning I Be Trying album.
Oh, really?
A lot of Bobby Rush and Kingfish.
He's in Australia right now, I think.
Yeah, I think he's at the Fillmore tonight.
Oh, okay.
In Australia, but Kingfish's Grammy Award, his first Grammy Award-winning record, we worked on that.
Wow.
Blues Traveler, like 2022 is crazy because we had done Cedric's record, and then Kingfish, I think, was in the same category as Blues Traveler, and we worked on the Blues Traveler record.
So your odds were pretty good.
So I was like, hopefully something sticks. and
how about North Mississippi All Stars?
And the North Mississippi All Stars.
Luther Dickinson, right?
Yeah, worked there. Luther was just here a couple of days ago. We worked on a bunch of their records, and Luther's actually playing on Cedric's record. And yeah, we had.
Love them.
Man, those are my musical brothers right there, man. Those, the Dickinson boys.
I can listen to them, J.J. Gray and Mofro and Government Mule. I can listen to that stuff.
Yeah, Luther's my favorite slide player. And his family's musical, right? His father, God, yeah, Jim Dickinson, man, was the man. Piano for Bob Dylan, Stones.
Crazy.
I mean, yeah, Dickinson was definitely a pillar of Memphis music. I mean, yeah, Jim Dickinson. But yeah, we're doing all kind of things with all kind of genres and people. We just did Southern Avenue's new record. Excited about that. So.
What is the? So Take Me to the River.
Oh yeah.
I forgot. Help me out. But isn't that you've put? Is it a group that's went to England, went to Europe this summer?
Yeah. So
tell me a little bit about that.
A couple of groups. So Take Me to the River was or is a music documentary directed by Martin Shore and produced by me and Cody Dickinson.
Oh, okay.
So the first documentary, it got released 2014, 2015, and it was basically, it started as we need to teach kids where their music comes from, and then it morphed into we need to do collaborations, mix the generations and the genres and then capture that connection on camera so that the generations will respect each other's music more as well. So we put Bobby Blue Bland with Yo Gotti. We put Mavis Staples with the North Mississippi All Stars. Frazier Boy with Bobby Rush. Otis Clay and this kid rapper, Little Peanut. Who else is in it? Oh, William Bell and Snoop Dogg. And it was, it was so amazing because, Yo Gotti, he's a big star, and he tells Bobby Blue Bland, he said, "Hey, my mom says I need to get your autograph." And then you have...
That's awesome.
You have people like Bobby Blue Bland that may have never respected rap, or, a lot of the older musicians never really looked at rap as being musical until you put them in a room with a rapper.
Right.
And now they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. And these cats are there's a really good William Bell, Snoop Dogg interview where they're both talking about the similarities. Like William is like, man, we just wanted to hear our voice on the radio, and Snoop is like, us too, it's just like, so it's been a good franchise. And we had the legendary High Rhythm section that is the band in most of that, and High Rhythm, they're the band that played on all the Al Green hits and the Ann Peoples hits, and they started off, they were really the Willie Mitchell band.
Oh, really?
And then when Pop started producing records, they became the house band that was playing on all these records. So they eventually started calling themselves High Rhythm because of High Records. But anyway, so you got those legendary guys that are playing the music. And then we did the next Take Me to the River was Take Me to the River NOLA. And we did the same thing with New Orleans musicians. So we got, all the Neville Brothers reassemble for the first time in 30 years or something. Manny Fresh is in it. Dr. John Batiste, just like same kind of thing we did in Memphis. Lettucey and Irma Thomas. And we started doing these stage shows. So we have the Take Me to the River All-Stars, which is
that's what I saw.
High Rhythm, and some of the people from that movie. This year, Take Me to the River All-Stars were High Rhythm and the legendary Miss Carla Thomas.
That's right. That's right.
And then there's a New Orleans branch that goes out that's like a Robert Mercurio from Galactic, Ivan Neville, and some different New Orleans musicians. And we're currently working on Take Me to the River London, which will talk about the British invasion and, how those guys were influenced by music of Memphis and the Mississippi Delta and New Orleans as well. So there's a
huge
mashup.
That's huge. And I tell you, I mentioned that book I was reading, Keith Richards' book. That's half the book.
Right.
Literally is half the book of them coming over here twice, getting in a car and going through the Delta and hitting juke joints.
Yeah. Finding muddy waters. Yeah.
It's really something. Man, that's exciting. That alone is exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm going to respect your time, but we could go on forever. I could come up with, you're probably like, all right. But I can't thank you enough, man. This has been awesome. And just being in here with you.
Wow. Thank you.
It really is an honor.
Thanks.
It's very special.
Hey.
And thanks for all that you do and you're going to do. And I can't, hey, you got a fan?
Thank you.
And if there's anything I can do to help, anything, spread the word, whatever, well, I'm here for you. This is fantastic stuff.
You keep this spirits and the material world going, because
that's what we are.
Truer words have never been spoken.
That's what we are. All right. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.